Hey guys, John Adams, Modern Design Aquascaping. Our team builds custom ponds, fountains, and waterfalls out of natural stone and wood. You know what? My goal is to educate and inspire the world about water features, which leads us into today's video. I'm sorry I can't quit laughing. So far, it's so stinking hot this morning at 9:30. The phone overheated while we're trying to shoot this video. The battery died on the wireless mic. I'm now tethered to a cord. This is like take 82. Our video is about how we build a wetland filter. So let me teach you about what we got going on in here so that you understand what goes into putting together an upflow wetland filter, which can also be called a bog filter, which can also be called a constructed wetland filter. All of these things are the same. The goal of this bad boy is to make your water pristine organically. So let's talk about how this guy goes together. We have this giant hole. We use the Pythagorean theorem to put together a perfect square on the ground. We measured out how many Aquablocks we have. There's like 150 of them up here. We have an exact square. We put it to an exact level. Let me tell you what's going on. The entire bottom took us 2 days to get this hole dug and shaped out just the right way. The entire bottom is sloped. It's about this much lower on this end, perfectly flat. So the purpose of that is so that we can clean this bad boy someday, because there's gonna be 100 tons of gravel in this thing by the time we're finished, and someday it's gonna need to be serviced. If you don't put it together right, number one, it's not gonna last. Number two, you're not gonna be able to get it good and clean. So what purpose is it if you don't do it right? This is how we do it right. We've got some modules down here. Let me bring my cameraman along with me on the string. I'm gonna reel him in, show you some of the components we have. So once we get this thing dug out properly, I guess I'm gonna take these pieces right here. We have some components that we use inside to make it work, but let's do it a step at a time. It's all pitched. The holes here are dug exactly pitched the way they need to be, and then we actually screed the base material in the bottom off of these Centipede modules. This is a Centipede module. I'll tell you what that's all about here in a little bit. But these blocks have to sit perfectly strong and level in here. That's what that's about. Before these guys go in, cart before the horse, squirrel, we're gonna take underlayment. We got a 7-ounce Geotextile fabric that we're gonna use. This covers the entire base of this soil material, which we had to over excavate, by the way. If you don't want to add insult to injury, we get down here and there's an old road bed buried in the bottom of our filter. Huge chunks of asphalt, limestone, all kinds of aggregate. It was a total show in here. We had to dig way too much material out, haul it over to the side, bring topsoil back in, tamp it all out before we can actually start to dig our trenches, which adds days to our job, by the way. Now that we have it all perfectly smooth and Sharpie free, no objects to poke holes through our liner, we're gonna put a Geotextile down, entire bottom covered in this Geotextile. We then have a 45 mil fish safe EPDM liner. This guy is what keeps the water inside. We're gonna lay him over the entire thing. We've got about a 40 by 60 piece to do this in one sheet. Then another layer of Geotextile on the inside, because some of these parts have sharp objects, sharp edges, and we don't want any holes in our liner. So added protection. This stuff is your insurance to make your liner last forever. So that's what's gonna go on before we put any components in. Now let me talk to you about the components. What we've got here, how they work. This is a snorkel. This unit is used for future clean out. It's just got a lid that screws on it. So when the time comes to clean this bad boy out, you can just drop a pump down in here and pump all the water out of this gigantic filter so that you can flush it and clean it. That's a story for another day, but this is what you use to do your cleaning. If you look at the bottom chunk of this thing sets down in this hole perfectly 4 inches lower at the bottom end of the slope from the Centipede. So we got 4 of these Centipede modules right here. In each line, we got 4 going into this snorkel. We got 4 more going into a second snorkel. Our water pumps into the end right here. See the end of this? That end will be all the way down there. So the water from our intake bay, which is another video, will come into the end of this guy, and it just slows down as it comes out through these Centipede modules. And then the water slowly perks up. Then what happens is it comes into a layer of these Aquablocks. Aquablocks were originally engineered for stormwater management. They work perfectly for this application. Thanks, Ed. The entire bottom of this is covered in a layer of those blocks. And what that does is it gets the water all mixed up and it gets it all spread out, and it's now moving very, very slowly. We have a calculation to figure out how much water to pump into the bottom it's not enough to make a great waterfall, but we're gonna pump a bunch more water on top. So the filter's gonna work, and then the extra water, you see this orange line right here? This is a big waterfall that's gonna go down, create some awesome cascades that can be seen from the gazebo area over here. So, water coming in, it's cruising through the centipedes. It's coming up through the Aquablocks. Clean out comes from the Snorkel. Where did I do with my spray paint? Spray paint, there it is. All right, so understanding what's gonna happen next after we've got all these units put in here. The entire bottom is now covered in these blocks. We overdug by about a foot. So our blocks are gonna be here along the edge. We're gonna have a foot all the way around the outside. We're gonna fill gravel in all the way around the outside. That's gonna cinch it in and make it tight. You'll see all this happening in the time-lapse video. But it's important because holding these things, being perfectly flat on the bottom, perfectly square, perfectly tight together, that's what gives them their structural strength. And when you get all the aggregate on top of this thing, you can literally drive the excavator over top of them. They're super strong. But let's go back to this. There's your Aquablock, right? Comes up to here. All right, then we've got 3 sizes of stone. I'm gonna show you those in just a second. We got a 4 to 8 stone, we're gonna do a layer of that. Then we got a 2 to 4 inch stone, we're gonna do a layer of that. And then we're gonna use our 1 inch rock up to here. That gets us back up to the shelves where we can do our boulder work. So we're actually just gonna be building on top of this bed of gravel. Let me show you the rocks that we've got here. This is what we're gonna use. And the spacing, the point for using different sizes of stones in here is because the bigger rocks make a layer. You get 8 inches of these guys. When you dump them in here, the spaces in between them are bigger. Then you go to the 2 to 4 inch stone in your second layer. You got this rock, and it goes in and the spaces are a little smaller. Then you go up to your 3rd layer of rock. You got the 1 inch rock on top. Spaces are even smaller yet. So as the particulate matter comes in from the bottom, it flows up through here. It keeps captures the biggest stuff in the lower layers, medium-sized particles in the middle layers, small particles in the upper layers. It allows you to back flush it back down through and clean it out through your snorkel. So that's the purpose for me of using the different sizes of aggregate. And it also provides a boatload of surface area where all your beneficial bacteria happens. That's the whole biology of how this works. We're not going into that today. We're going into how to build this thing. So once we get up to this level with aggregate, we're gonna do our decorative boulders all the way around. We're gonna bring our water and all that stuff. Then we're gonna do the edge work, make this thing look fantastic, and we're gonna build a killer waterfall out the back. So you guys watch what happens. Check it all out on time lapse. Do me a favor. If you learn anything from this video, give us a thumbs up. If you got any questions about how this Upflow wetland filter works, anything you want to know about how to put one together properly or anything else, hit me up in the comment section. I'd love to interact with you guys. Let me know what you think. I appreciate you watching. Hope you have an amazing day.